The Zyr'khal armada stretched across the void like a steel tide. Hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons that could peel the surface from a planet, advanced toward the contested system of Arvalis. To them, this was routine. Another world, another conquest. Admiral Sithric stood on his flagship's bridge, confident in victory. His scouts had reported only a single human craft entering the system ahead of the armada. One ship. It was laughable. Humanity was a young species, reckless and loud, but not suicidal. Yet the lone vessel remained, waiting. "Identify the human ship," Sithric ordered. The sensors flickered. "Designation, ISS Valiant. Old frame. Outdated. Barely armed." Sithric hissed in amusement. "They insult us. One ship cannot stand against an armada." But as the minutes ticked by, unease spread across the bridge. The Valiant did not flee. It didn't even move. It hung in orbit above Arvalis, steady and silent, as though daring the Dominion to approach. Inside the Valiant, Captain Eleanor Graves studied the tactical displays. Her ship was old, yes. Scarred from battles past. Its engines whined, its hull groaned. Against the Zyr'khal fleet, it was less than nothing. But Graves had something the enemy did not. "Signals ready, Captain," her comms officer said. She nodded. "Then let's show them why humanity doesn't fight alone." With a flick of her hand, the Valiant broadcast a pulse into the void, an encrypted beacon, invisible to all but the allies who had been waiting, hiding, watching. Moments later, the void rippled. The Valiant's outdated hull shimmered, and space tore open around it. Cloaked mines, seeded over months, activated. Gravity traps snapped into place. And from the blackness, ships emerged, small, swift, and deadly. Not human alone, but a coalition of species humanity had befriended, trained, and armed. To the Zyr'khal, it looked as though the Valiant had birthed an army from nothing. On the flagship, Admiral Sithric snarled. "Trickery! That ship cannot—" His words died as a Dominion cruiser exploded, ripped apart by a minefield they hadn't detected. Another was disabled, caught in the pull of an artificial gravity well. The human ship had been bait, and the Zyr'khal had swallowed it whole. "Retarget! Destroy that vessel!" Sithric roared. But the Valiant moved then, not with the sluggishness of an old ship, but with precision born of human desperation. It darted between larger cruisers, using the armada's size against it, forcing them to fire carefully or risk hitting their own. Every time the Valiant appeared cornered, it slipped free, guiding its enemies straight into traps. It wasn't stronger. It wasn't faster. It was smarter. And every maneuver bought time for the coalition fleet to carve into the Zyr'khal line. Captain Graves stood steady as her ship shuddered under enemy fire. "Status? Hull integrity at 60%. Shields failing," her engineer replied. Graves didn't flinch. "Good. That means we're still alive. Line up for another pass." Her crew knew the truth. The Valiant wouldn't survive this battle. But survival wasn't the goal. Holding the line was. Humanity had a saying, "You don't need to win. You only need to make them lose more." So the Valiant fought, not like a warship, but like a predator with nothing to lose. It rammed into firing lanes, launched decoys, sacrificed armor to protect allies. Every sacrifice it made turned the tide further. For every piece of the Valiant that burned, another Zyr'khal ship fell. Hours later, the battlefield was unrecognizable. The mighty Zyr'khal armada had fractured, retreating into the shadows of space. Wreckage drifted like steel tombstones. And still, at the center, the Valiant burned. Half its hull was gone, its engine sputtering, but it remained, floating above Arvalis, scarred yet defiant. On the Dominion flagship, Admiral Sithric could not tear his eyes away. "How? One ship, one human ship. The answer was simple, though he would never speak it. Because humanity had a way of making one ship enough. Not through firepower, not through size, but through the will to endure, the refusal to bow, and the brilliance to turn weakness into strength. To humanity, one ship was never just one ship. It was a symbol, a promise, a declaration to the stars that they would not go quietly. When the story of Arvalis spread, it was not told as the tale of an armada defeated, but of a single ship that stood against impossible odds. The galaxy learned a lesson that day. Never ask why humanity sends just one ship. Ask instead what they've hidden behind it. Or worse, what they're willing to sacrifice to make that single ship enough.